What if I told you that in the exact moment Jesus was being crucified, the heavens were not the only realm reacting? What if, beyond the visible sky, beyond the cries echoing from the earth, in a dimension hidden from human sight, two of the most powerful archangels ever created were present, watching, and actively carrying out divine assignments? Michael, heaven's warrior. Uriel, the burning flame of divine revelation. And the Son of God suspended between time and eternity. You may have heard the story of the crucifixion countless times, but I assure you, you have never encountered it like this before. Because concealed within the shadows of Calvary, within dimensions rarely spoken of, something unfolded that defies human reasoning, challenges traditional understanding, and tears open the veil of everything we thought we understood about that sacred moment. So let me ask you, why did the sky turn dark at noon? What was Jesus truly accomplishing in the spirit while his physical body was dying? And what exactly were Michael and Uriel doing when the King of Glory was pierced? Stay with me, because once you uncover what truly happened in the unseen realm, your understanding of Jesus and spiritual warfare will never remain the same again. And if you're new here, welcome to Divine Insights TV, the place where we uncover the hidden, the divine, and the truths most are afraid to explore. From angelic warfare to prophetic mysteries, if it is written, and yet still mysterious, you will find it here. So prepare yourself, like, subscribe, and step deeper. Most people only understand the cross from a physical perspective. They imagine a dusty hill, Roman soldiers, a mocking crowd, and a bleeding man nailed between two criminals. And yes, that is true. But that is only the visible layer. That is what the human eye could perceive. But what if your vision could pierce beyond the natural? What if you could look past the veil that separates the physical from the spiritual? What if, above that hill called Golgotha, there was a war unfolding? A war older than creation itself. The Bible tells us that at noon, the sky turned dark. Not cloudy, not dim, but completely black. For 3 hours, the earth stood beneath a supernatural darkness. But this was not merely an eclipse. This darkness was not physical, it was spiritual. In the unseen realm, something was shifting. Above the cross, in the invisible dimension that exists alongside ours, the atmosphere was charged with divine tension. The angels were not singing, they were silent. Watching. Waiting. The heavens were not simply dark, they were under siege. Lucifer, the fallen one, the ancient adversary who once stood in glory, was watching. From the shadows of his dominion, he believed this was his moment of victory. From the beginning, since Eden. Since the prophecy that the seed of the woman would crush his head, he had been working toward this moment. And now, the seed hung on a cross, bleeding, appearing powerless. Or so it seemed. But Lucifer was not the only one watching. In realms unseen, stood two figures of immense authority. Michael, the commander of heaven's armies. Uriel, the keeper of divine mysteries and light. They were not merely observing. They were positioned. Standing at the boundary between heaven and earth. Guardians of the most critical moment in existence. Michael's form radiated overwhelming power. His presence carried the weight of war, ancient, eternal war. His armor seemed alive, pulsing with fire that did not belong to this world. His sword burned with inscriptions of divine authority. Uriel, by contrast, was not a warrior of noise, but of revelation. He radiated like a living furnace, glowing with divine light. His eyes carried knowledge that stretched across eternity. These were not ordinary angels. They were witnesses of God's redemptive plan. And now, they were watching their Creator die. The earth trembled, but the spirit realm roared. As Jesus groaned beneath the weight of sin, something shifted. Angelic beings trembled. Demonic forces began retreating. Something was wrong. This was not unfolding the way hell expected. There was no resistance. No retaliation. It was as though Jesus was allowing it. And that terrified the kingdom of darkness. Because there is something demons understand that many believers still struggle to grasp. Restrained power is more terrifying than unleashed power. Jesus had power. Unlimited power. He could have summoned legions of angels. He could have destroyed everything in a moment. But he didn't. And that silence echoed louder than thunder. Michael tightened his grip. Uriel remained focused. Because they knew something humanity did not. They knew what was about to happen. Before time began. There was a divine plan, sealed, written, established. And at that moment, it was unfolding. Jesus was not dying because he lost. He was dying because he was winning. And then, it happened. When Jesus cried out, it was not just a sound. It was a signal. A command. A divine transmission that pierced through dimensions. And Michael understood. The king, bleeding on a cross, had just issued an unseen order. No thunder followed. No visible sign. But in the spirit realm, everything shifted. A command moved, not through air, but through spirit. Hold the line. Guard what is mine. And heaven responded. Jesus stood between two realms. His body in the natural. His spirit moving into death. But his authority remained untouched. Michael stepped into position. Not to attack, but to guard. Because something was happening far beyond suffering. A transfer. Every sin, every curse, every failure, was being placed upon Christ. And Michael stood as a divine enforcer, ensuring nothing interfered. Meanwhile, Uriel's assignment was even deeper. Because Jesus, the light, was entering darkness. Uriel released divine revelation across time. A spiritual ripple that would awaken generations. As Jesus breathed his last, the veil tore. Not just physically, but spiritually. Access was restored. And the angels stepped back. Not in defeat, but in obedience. Jesus had died. But the mission was not over. Because beneath the earth, something greater was happening. He descended into Sheol. Not symbolically. Not metaphorically. But spiritually real. And as he entered, darkness trembled. The underworld recognized him. Lucifer realized something had gone wrong. Jesus was not defeated. He was invading. He approached the gates. And with authority, commanded them open. Chains broke. Systems collapsed. Michael stood as witness. Uriel unveiled truth. And then, it happened. Jesus took the keys. The keys of death. The keys of the grave. Victory had been secured, from within. Resurrection began there, not at the tomb. And when he rose with authority, for all. Final revelation. Jesus was never powerless. He was orchestrating victory. Michael guarded the authority. Uriel revealed the mystery. And heaven moved, even in silence. Which means this. Even in your darkest moment, heaven is still active. Even when it looks like defeat, God is still working. Because sometimes, The greatest victories are silent. Like and subscribe for more.